We go now to...
Mr. President.
yes, sir.
If I may just request respectfully to recognize Yusek Bong Vega to make his presentation to clear the issue with regard to the 67.3 billion pesos deficiencies which the COA has reported and which has caused so much doubt in the minds of our people as to how these funds were utilized, and therefore it will be good, Mr. President, to recognize Yusek Vega to make his presentation, sir.
You know, that do not put so much importance yung yung bang matter of course yung kanila. Ako mismo 3 beses na ako na yan nga, hindi sila makahintay. You know, papers, bureaucracy takes very long. Sometimes the documents are deficient. So, you need to correct. Hindi naman kasi ito kuha. If kuha were the ones preparing the document, tapos we just implement, madali. Nandiyan na lahat ng gusto nila. Ito ngayon, yung may audit sila, yung preliminary audit nila, tapos mag-exit conference sila, at tapos i-release nila yan. Yung papel na yan na preliminary audit, pag inilabas mo yan doon sa media, it becomes the gospel truth. So you are now with something like may suspicion agad. Mga kaibigan, matagal ako sa gobyerno, nangyari na yan sa akin. Nanalo ako, gusto kong sabihin sa COA na gusto kong bulyawan. Sinabi ko na sa inyo, ganon. Hindi kayo maniwala, padimanda-dimanda kayo. Umabot kami ng Supreme Court. 2 beses sila tumba. Siya sa Court of Appeals. Ang problema kasi dyan, I said, the paper that they're holding or papers that they are in their custody are really insufficient and deficient. Kung kailangan, huwag ka munang mag-audit hanggang hindi pa natapos ang trabaho ko. Yan lang naman sana hinihingi natin. Do not conduct an audit on our work na ongoing pa. Kasi dinodocument pa yan hanggang ngayon. Kung birahin mo ako ng exit conference tapos may deficiency ganon na i-publish mo, I said that statement of yours in that paper becomes the gospel truth. And it is not fair to the people kagaya mo who has been working, toiling para sa alam ko gusto mo nang mag-resign, pero alam mo rin na tatanggihan kita. Ngayon, noon, you have attempted to resign twice. I expect you to say something to me up this way, mag-resign ka. Sabihin ko sa iyo, hindi. Wala ka namang ginawang masama. Bakit ka mag-resign? Kung hanapin nila dyan, kung meron silang makita, in the end, if you find that there is mga nawala dyan, mga 500 pesos, edi magdemanda kayo. Punta ng Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will be a fair arbiter of things. So, ganon. Hindi, huwag kayo maniwala ng Ako mismo, Presidente, ako mismo nangako na I will protect you, people. It includes your money. Do you think pabayag ako na may isa dito sa cabinet member magnakaw basket 1,000? You really think that I would allow it? Siyempre, dadating sa akin yung report na yan. May mag-report ba talaga, sir, si ano? Marami dyan sa ibang departamento, but not the cabinet members. Yung mga papel na kulang-kulang doon sa baba, ang problema, it is attributed to the head of the department. Hindi niya kaya lahat tignan yung papel araw-araw. Sus Maria Josep. At sasabihin ko sa inyo, ako na mismo ang nagsasabi sa inyo, papayag ako. You think I would allow magkabarilan kami kung ganun? Now, I'd like to ask Undersecretary Vega to explain how the money, how much was spent, kung saan. Kung gusto ninyo, yung anong naiwan, ibalik na lang kaagad ninyo. Kayo na lang ang magpatakbo sa COVID program. You return the money. Whatever is left of that, hindi pa nagastos. Kung ganun lang naman na you are being pictured as a corrupt official na sa trabaho mo na halos. Go ahead, please.
Mayor, Mr. President, it is our privilege and honor to present to you and to our fellow countrymen the status of the action taken by the Department of Health with regards to the deficiencies raised by COA. Next slide, please. As clarified by COA, the observations and findings are the recommendations made by the auditors for the management of the Department of Health to address the observations and findings. These are part of the audit process, which allows the audited agency to comply with the recommendations and rectify any deficiencies. The report itself does not mention any findings by the auditors of funds lost to corruption. Next slide, please. As of today, out of the 13 deficiencies, 5 were already resolved, 3 were partially resolved, and the remaining 5 are currently being complied. Next slide, please. COA flagged that our transfers to PSDBM for the procurement of PPEs, testing kits, medical supplies, and other hospital equipment for COVID-19 response were not covered by Memorandum of Agreement. Non-attachment of MOA was coordinated and consulted with PSDBM, and it was agreed by the same that non-attachment of MOA has legal basis since the items procured were considered as commonly used supplies. GPPB Resolution number 03/2020. Constant coordination with the procurement agencies to ensure that needed supplies are delivered at the possible time. To date, a total of 31 billion worth of commodities was reported by DBM as delivered. Next slide. The unobligated allotment of 11.8 billion from Bayanihan 1 and 2, including foreign loans as of December 31, 2020, are composed of GOP fund of 7.1 billion and foreign loans of 4.7 billion. 5 billion pesos of the GOP fund was considered as continuing appropriations for the year 2021, of which 4.2 billion or 83% have been utilized as of June 30, 2021 for the payment for the salaries of our HRH emergency hired. Some were used to pay for benefits for our health workers, such as the SRA, and death and sickness compensation, procurement of needed medicines and medical supplies in line with the pandemic, while 510 million remains valid for utilization until December 31, 2021. As to the foreign assisted projects, reissuance of SARO from the DBM are to be requested to supplement the funding requirements in line with COVID response. Hindi po nasayang ang mga pondong to. Next slide, please. On the deficiencies in procurement, documents and procedures, this is partially resolved. 2.448 billion mentioned deficiencies was already addressed by the procurement service of the central office. For the remaining 2.52 billion, the DOH operating units concerned were given directives to immediately comply with the COA recommendations. Also, the DOH Internal Audit Service is currently conducting review of transactions pertaining to the Bayanihan 1 and 2 funds. Next slide. There are also donations in kind with a total of 1.4 billion, to which our government retained hospitals, specifically Jose Reyes Memorial Hospital, Tondo Medical Center, and San Lazaro Hospital, missed to submit summary report list of donations received as of December 31, 2020. To date, upon validation from these concerned hospitals, they were able to provide COA the required listings. Next slide, please. Around 275 million meal allowance were flagged by COA as unauthorized. In providing meal benefits, our health facilities had to be creative, especially as our healthcare workers bemoaned the provision of meals in the literal sense. Napapanisan sila ng pagkain, hindi nakakain sa tamang oras, at nasasayang lamang kung pagkain ang binibigay ng ating hospitals. The DOH sought the approval of the Office of the President to provide the meal benefits through other forms, and OP has listened and approved provision in cash equivalents. Hence, this COA observation must be considered as resolved. COA flagged that 74 million worth of medical equipment and supplies for COVID-19 response of various hospitals remain unutilized at the end of the year 2020. These observations were mostly resolved. While waiting for completion of COVID-19 wards, some equipment were used by other wards of the hospital. We believe that our hospitals should also be given leeway to adjust their operations kung saan po ang pangangailangan. Nonetheless, we have asked the concerned units to respond to this. COA also flagged that while the implementing units went through emergency procurement process, some deliveries were delayed, thereby negating the use of the method. However, these operating units acted fast, and we believe that the ensuing delay is beyond their control. However, we continue to remind them that they should strictly enforce delivery dates for such vital supplies and equipment from their suppliers. The foregoing COA findings are more of documentary issues. Some are already resolved, while others are ongoing compliance. We are in the Public Health Service emergency situation. Thus, the Department of Health operating units compelled to this sort of action so as not to compromise the lives of the public. Nevertheless, the concerned operating units commit to comply with the COA recommendations on the submission of required supporting documents. That is all, Mr. President, of our COA report.
Thank you. Alam mo, meron akong experience. Tuduhin na lang natin itong COA. You know, kagaya ng yung isang item doon na it would require a MOA. Sabi nila, alam mo, itong DOH, pati itong task force, both agencies are responsible in the war against COVID. Ang Department of Health, yun sila yung punong-puno na kung mabili, at times madalian, emergency. There is no just space for them to maghintay pa ng requisition, gano'n. Anak na po, buhay ang pinag-usapan natin dito. So you better just also, I'd like to remind ko, look, may auditors man nakabase dyan. Like Davao City, there is a Davao City auditor. Ngayon, dadaan yung mga transaksyon na yan, lulusot dyan sa local auditor. Ngayon, pagdating noon sa taas, pag-audit, mabulyaso, you blame now the procurement, the mayor, whoever, ay lieutenant. Tanggalin na lang ninyo yung auditor dyan sa baba. Kalukuhan yan. Bali. Ano lang pala ninyo eh. Isang audit na lang sa inyo lang para isa. What would you... Hindi lang ito, pati yung DILG, may nabasa ako, pati yung kay Secretary Galvez, meron flag, puro flag down. Stop that flagging, God damn it. You make a report, do not flag, do not publish it because it will condemn the agency or the person that you are flagging. The flagging is spelled F-L-A-G-G-E-D. Ang ginagawa ninyo is F-L-O-G-G-I-N-G. Flagging. Hampas. Huwag naman sige kayong flag ng flag. Tapos wala namang napreso, wala naman lahat. And yet you know that when you flag, there is already a taint of corruption by perception. You cannot, this COVID-19 will never be won by the way you are also behaving. Alam ninyo, emergency to. It is a matter of life or death. So you have to understand and give it a little elbow room to move. Make emergency purchase, mag-utang. Ang utos ko ganon. Kung wala kayong, sa lahat sa gobyerno, especially connected with COVID, kung wala, mag-utang kayo. Hindi kayo papayag na you do everything you can. Mamamatay, nakita mo yung mga frontliners. Tapos wala kang ibigay na suporta. By the way, itong frontliners, unahin mo na lang. If there is enough money, bayaran mo yung... Saka yung mga medisina uli, utangin mo. Huwag mo, sundin yung kuwa. Batangan, kuwa na. Wala namang mangyari dyan. Yan ang ayaw ko yung flagging eh. It creates a conundrum. Pati na, alam mo, political season na ngayon. kanya-kanyang banat, kanya-kanyang criticism. Ito mga newspaper, akala mo as if they are the epitome of propriety and decency.